and welcome back to EFC, where today we're looking at 5 managers who are in turmoil decline. I'm sorry. 5. Jose Mourinho. With Man United a Champions League side again and firmly in the top 4 race, it would be hard to argue that Jose Mourinho's time at Old Trafford has been anything but a success. But the Portuguese was brought to re-establish the Red Devils as title challengers, and it's hard to see how major silverware will find its way back to Manchester. Mourinho won a title as recently as 2014-15 with Chelsea, putting together the best defence in the league with 32 goals conceded in 38 games. That year the Blues took 4 shots more per game than they allowed, and of the shots they conceded, a massive 50% of them came from outside the area, again leading the division. United, however, take only 2 shots more than they concede, and only 40% of those efforts against them are from more than 18 yards out. Mourinho's defence is allowing more dangerous shots than ever before, and taking fewer themselves. In that Chelsea side, Thibaut Courtois made 74 saves across the entire campaign, an average of 2.4 per 90. By comparison, David De Gea has already had to produce 91 saves in the Prem with just 10 games to go, and he is making 3.2 stops per 90 minutes, bailing out his coach. And it's important to remember how Mourinho left Chelsea. In his last half season before he got fired, he lost 9 out of 16 games, with a team which had delivered the title just 6 months previous. After Gus Hiddink took over, Chelsea lost just 3 of their remaining 22 matches. With the current dominance of Man City, plus strides made by Liverpool and Tottenham, the Premier League is more competitive than ever before. And big spending will have to be paired with tactical innovation to put United back on top. But history is against Jose for the first time. In the last 8 years, he's won 2 titles and hasn't reached the Champions League final. In 8 years before that, he was 5 times a domestic champion and lifted 2 European crowns. Time will tell if he can rediscover whatever it was that made him special. 4. Carlo Ancelotti. Regarded as a safe pair of hands after the departure of Pep Guardiola, Carlo Ancelotti was unexpectedly fired by Bayern Munich after just over a year in Germany. It was one of the lowest moments of the 23-year career, which has brought the coach 3 Champions Leagues and 4 domestic titles. Ancelotti's 70% win rate at the Allianz was the second best of his life as a coach, and brought Bayern a 5th consecutive domestic championship. But a high-profile loss to PSG in Europe and squad dissatisfaction made the Italians' position untenable. The club stars were apparently disappointed with Carlo's old-fashioned training methods, and Bayern's identity does seem to be disappearing. In Pep's last season, Bayern got nearly 8 shots on target per game and completed nearly 800 passes, numbers which have since dropped to under 7 shots on target and fewer than 700 passes per game. Those are still comfortably the best in the Bundesliga, but they do represent a step backwards, and Bayern pressed less under Ancelotti as well. In the Pep days, teams playing against FCB would typically complete around 9 passes before their possession was ended by a tackle or an interception. Under Carlo, that changed to 11 passes, meaning Bayern were less aggressive in winning the ball back, and the opposition had more time and possession to try and create something. Unsurprisingly, that saw shots against them climb from 7.5 per match to 9. Since he left Milan in 2009, Ancelotti hasn't managed to complete 2 years at any club, and it's becoming more and more apparent that he needs a super team to make his methods work. While younger coaches like Tuchel and Pochettino create sides which are more than the sum of their parts. As a troubleshooter, Ancelotti will always have work, but it seems less and less likely that he'll build a dynasty or craft a truly dominant team ever again. 3. Rafa Benitez. From replacing Ancelotti at Real Madrid to coaching in the Championship within a year, Rafa Benitez has had a mixed few seasons. A misguided appointment at the Bernabeu, Benitez brought a directionless Newcastle side back to the Premier League in his first full campaign. But it seems unlikely that he will ever get a chance at a truly big side again. And that's understandable, as Benitez's recent history is one of underachievement. After great success with Liverpool and Valencia, including 2 titles and a Champions League, Benitez took over Inter Milan following the departure of Jose Mourinho. and immediately looked out of his depth. A side which had won the treble and taken 2.2 points per game the previous term dropped to 6th and 1.5 points per game under the Spaniard, resulting in his exit 6 months later. His next job was Napoli, but Benitez's defensive style stifled a promising attack. In 178 games under the coach, Insigne and Mertens got a combined 34 goals, the same number Mertens got under Sarri last season alone. Benitez finished 3rd, then 5th in Naples, but Sarri's arrival in 2015 saw the team soar to 2nd, while goal difference climbed from +16 to +48, and points from 63 to 82. At Real Madrid, Benitez racked up a 68% win rate, the best of his career, but the worst at the club since Juan Ramos left in 2009. Unsurprisingly, he was ditched halfway through the season, and Zinedine Zidane went on to take the club to back-to-back Champions League titles. Having once been among the world's best managers, Benitez is now among the best mid-table coaches in the Premier League. Sorry, Rafa, but the glories of your early career look gone for good. 2. Zinedine Zidane, our 4th Real Madrid coach in a row. It seems that Florentino Perez has a habit of ruining managers, or perhaps the club's focus on attracting big names leads them to hire trainers who are past their peak. That couldn't be said for Zinedine Zidane though, who was promoted from Los Blancos' Castilla side in mid-season and went on to win 2 European Cups and a title in just 18 months. However, Zidane's second full campaign at the Bernabeu has seen an unexpected drop-off. Real sank as low as 8th in La Liga and the title looked lost after just 10 games, with Barca 8 points clear. But the really damning comparison is with Real's form the year before. Though Los Blancos have conceded fewer this season, down to 1 a match from 1.2, they score far less often, netting 2.4 goals a game instead of 2.9. Points per game have gone from 2.4 to 2, resulting in the club sitting on 51 points after 25 match days, a tally which would only place them 3rd in the Premier League. In 2016-17, Real lost just 5 times in all competitions, 1 defeat every 12 games. But they have already lost 6 times by February this time out, with a defeat coming every 7 matches. And with Atletico Madrid sitting 7 points clear of Real at the time of writing, Zidane has his work cut out. Real have only finished outside the top 2 once in the last 14 years, and the only men to come 3rd or lower and retain their job in the last 30 have been Ancelotti and Vicente Del Bosque, both of who won the Champions League to compensate for the poor league showing. That means that Zidane may need to achieve a historic European three-peat to stay boss at the Bernabeu, something no manager has ever done before. 1. Arsene Wenger. At number 1, it could be no one but Arsene Wenger. Arguably a victim of his own success, the Frenchman was previously beloved at Arsenal, having finished in the top 4 20 times in a row since he took over at the Emirates Stadium, until 2017 when the Gunners dropped to 5th. However, there has been a distinct drop in the quality of Arsenal's campaigns. Wenger has taken the club to 1st 3 times, to 2nd 6 times, but of those 9 top 2 finishes, 8 came in his first decade at the club. Criticism of Wenger's work often focuses on Arsenal's apparent inconsistency, and their performances can range from brilliant to embarrassing. But we think the issue is actually too much emphasis on steadiness, which has seen the club take fewer chances on the field and in the market. In 2004, they got 90 points and lost 0 league games, while 2 years later they lost 11 and racked up just 67 points. Meanwhile, in 4 of the last 5 seasons, Arsenal have lost 7 matches, and they have finished with a points total in the 70s 6 seasons running. Previously, that would have been good enough for the top 4, but the league is tougher than ever now, and Arsenal would probably have been better off with a coach willing to play riskier football, which could have seen them finish 6th or 1st. Instead, they played it safe while they were paying off the Emirates, with the result that Wenger has spent £349 million in his net 21 years in London, while Guardiola has spent £20 million more in 21 months at Man City. The defence has seen a significant decay too. Over Wenger's first 10 years, Arsenal conceded 0.8 goals per game, while over the second 10 years, they allowed 1 a game. Goals scored remained almost identical, but the defence drop-off alone has seen their goal difference drop by around 5 a season. And that's leaving out the last 2 years, the worst of Wenger's reign. Attendance is at its lowest since the switch to the new stadium, but with Aubameyang, Ozil and Bellerin in the squad, there are good pieces left for whoever comes in next. But they need to come in now, and the Professor needs to say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and I'm so sorry, but the stats don't lie. So let me know in the comments below what you thought about them, and if we were too harsh, or if we weren't harsh enough. Probably not that. Anyway, if you like that, why don't you watch the 10 that went out yesterday? It was 10 players that are too powerful, and don't forget to like and subscribe.